Saturday night at 8 o'clock, as they've been doing for 55 years. Go to their lecture during the rebuttal period. Anybody, any age can jump up and have their say. Just remember this, they never stopped following the Hobo College motto. They always say, please never interrupt another speaker. They prefer it to be one fool at a time. Now on the right, you can see the Amtrak and Metro trains. This is Gateway Center, and we're surrounded. Union Station. Friends, if you have a chance, go inside Chicago's train station. That neoclassical building from 1925 is one of the last great rail terminals. Travertine ceiling, marble staircases throughout. And if you want to get your kicks on Route 66, that legendary U.S. Highway 66, it's right above your head. Now, photographers, walk up to Adams Street later today, face the station. They even hung a 66 road marker from the bridge for a great photo. And when you return, here come in style by Shoreline Water Taxi. Look, our dock is on the left, and that will prepare you for the tallest building in America, the 5th tallest in the world today, the Willis, formerly Sears Tower. Architect Bruce Graham, and from Bangladesh, first engineering partner for Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, Dr. Fazla Khan. Look way up. Can you see the new skybox on the 103rd floor? It has a glass floor. You've got to go into it. Enter it, man. You're 103 floors up. You are walking on air. If you suffer from a fear of heights, vertigo, man, you're 103 floors up. You're up there heaving in the air. So be careful looking down if you're queasy. Now, 2 years ago, London-based insurance company, the Willis Group, took over 3 floors of the 110-story building, and the entire building was renamed the Willis Tower. I honor the new name. However, I'm a Chicagoan, and that means I'm going to honor Mr. Richard Sears and Mr. Alvin Roebuck and the long tradition of Sears in the city of Chicago. Therefore, when we turn this photo around for a better photo opportunity, I will formally announce it, but I will choose to call it by its original name, the Sears Tower, one last time.
Me too.
And I think
it's always going to be the Sears Tower.
When I call it the Sears Tower, I will do so while using a musical technique from Kazil in tuba, known as double note throat singing. And I think I'll try and sing it or the birdsong style of tubing, as opposed to the more common or frog style of tubing. Movie fans, you recognize the old Chicago Central Post Office? It was the Gotham City Bank, and that opening bank robbery scene in Batman. If you're a fan of giant robots from space, it also shows up in Transformers 3 right now. But why on earth did we need such a gigantic building to handle the mail? Well, I could argue that the mail order catalog business was pretty much invented right here in Chicago by that friend of the farmer, Mr. A. Montgomery Ward. Wasn't a farm kitchen table in America.
Montgomery Burns.
Have a Montgomery Ward catalog on
Montgomery Burns.
Probably another catalog out back for other purposes. Montgomery Ward followed by Sears and Roebuck. So basically, a lot of mail rolled down those halls. But even without those 2 big companies, you would still build a giant post office here. Chicago's always been the great American city of exaggeration. We're kind of a little kid with a chip on our shoulder. You do something big, Chicago's going to come back bigger. You do something bigger, Chicago will give you the biggest. 1921, largest post office on Earth, 2.7 million square feet. Booyah. But the truth is, elevators slow things down. So look at the new post office from 1994. You see how they're single floors. You can do more operations. You don't have to wait for the elevators. So the old post office was abandoned by 1995. It did achieve landmark status. There were some pipe dreams about turning the old post office into a landed casino in Chicago. And then finally, last summer, something really happened. They sold it at public auction for $24.8 million to one of the richest men in England, Bill Davies. He wants to turn it into a worldwide shopping destination with a 2,000-foot skyscraper hotel next door. Spend $3.5 billion over 10 years. I don't think he has the $3.5 billion yet, so I'm not holding my breath on that project. Hey, look to your left for a moment. You're going to see the skyline drops off as we go further down the South Branch. And that is because Chicago's business district, the Loop, is actually somewhat behind us now. And you know what? You had borders. The river was the northern border of the business district, the lake was east, south and west, you were cut up by railroad tracks. And you know, in the early days, if you were in business, you wanted to squeeze downtown. Well, look at it like this. Think back, way back, before cell phones, before email, and dare I say it, before text messaging. Remember when business was the art of the handshake, the deal? You met your customer, not Facebook to Facebook, but face to face. You had 2 people in the same room. OMG, can you even imagine this? LOL. And that meant if you were in business in Chicago, you didn't mind if we stacked up like firewood. In Chicago, you couldn't sprawl out because of those boundaries, so you sprawled up. And you know he's not from Chicago, but I got to tip my hat to Mr. Otis. Without his safe elevator, we'd still be on the ground floor. By the way, the Otis Elevator headquarters in Minneapolis, it's a one-story building. On our left now, I bet you can tell me the architect of River City. The clue is in the curve. You know him already. The corncob-shaped Marine City Towers we looked at earlier. Goldberg, Bertrand Goldberg, is not sculptor as architect. He was the modernist who thought outside the box. Wrote in his journal in the 60s, I am in rebellion against a century of static. I am in rebellion against the straight line. I refuse to remake humanity in the image of a machine. So he lets nature inspire him. A snake. River City would have looked like a mythical river snake. This is phase one. Bertrand had 5 buildings planned to expand to the next bridge. He's a free thinker, man. He always marched to his own drummer. And that reason I put him on the same plane as the great Antonio Gaudi. I see a similarity in their process. Oh, irony of ironies. Can you get a quick picture of that squat building with an orange wall on its eastern front and the radio tower? You know why? That's the Chicago Fire Academy over on DeKalb Street. And you know why they painted the eastern wall orange? Because they built the Fire Academy, boys, where firemen get their training right on top of Mrs. O'Leary's farm. That's where the great Chicago fire started, when supposedly that cow Daisy, that ornery heifer, kicked over a kerosene lantern in the
That ornery heifer.
Except there's just one thing. Yes, that was the O'Leary farm where the Fire Academy is today. Forgive the cow, though. Daisy the cow didn't start the fire.
Forgive the cow.
Myth and song.
It still produced milk.
Daisy was framed, they set her up, nobody knows.
That heifer.
My favorite theory, meteor shower. So where'd the cow story come from? Turns out a couple newspaper guys, they admitted it years later in 1893. They made up the story and they blamed Mrs. O'Leary's cow because it made great copy. They wanted to sell more newspapers. It turns out that in those days, the press was more about simply entertaining people than actually reporting the truth. Not like today. But the fire definitely started right there and winds blew it all through the downtown area.
It was all about selling pictures. Papers.
To the bow for a better shot. It is the tallest building in America, the 5th tallest in the world today. I give you the building originally known as the one, the only, the Tower.
Right here.
51 feet, 1,727 if you count the antenna. The construction technique is known as the bundle tube system. You know what? Think of the building like a bundle of sticks wrapped together with string. It consists of 9 contiguous
Hey, we're gonna
tubes,
buy that one.
75-foot square. Ascending 2 will stop
Oh,
at
I get to
50
see
floors,
that.
2 go up to 66, 3 go up to 90. The final 2, 110 stories. With that observation deck, you can look down and get sick in on floor 103. Now, why terminate the different sections? This is strategic. You are in the Windy City. And although we actually got the Windy City nickname from a New York newsman because we wouldn't shut up about how Chicago should get to host the World's Fair, it is a windy city. We've caught the wind shear effect at 81 miles an hour. And you know, I look at the Sears Tower and I am reminded of the great Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, who would write in the Tao Te Ching some many, many years ago, can you not learn to be flexible? Can you bend and remain straight? And I say, aha, the Sears Tower seems to follow the Tao. For this building has the ability to bend and yet remain straight. You see, gale force winds can't topple it. It is supple like a newborn babe. Like a tree in the wind, the Sears Tower has a flexibility. It can sway 3 feet left to right. Tallest building in the world, 1974, April 1996. We lose the title on a technicality to Petronas Towers, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Twin office towers connected by a 48-floor bridge. Now, they were shorter in floors than the Sears Tower, so here come the spires again. They put 25-foot spires on the roof, 1,483 feet, they get the title. And then in 2005, a beautiful building shows up in Taipei, Taiwan. Taipei 101 reaches 1,671 feet. They're surpassed in 2007 when the hottest era for skyscrapers on the planet becomes Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. The Burj Dubai reaches 2,400 feet. And then last year, the Burj Dubai renames itself the Burj Khalifa of Dubai. They have to change all the t-shirts in the gift shop. Oh, and they added extra height. The Burj Khalifa
just whited them out.
2,717 feet. It's not in Chicago. But do not fret and do not cry. Who do you think was the architect of the Burj Khalifa of Dubai? You know where I'm going, right? A Chicago guy, Adrian Smith, who did the NBC Tower and the Trump Hotel, also architect the Burj Khalifa of Dubai. Now look all the way over to the right. See that statue, that Ceres, the Roman goddess of grain, where we get the word cereal from in English, perched atop the Art Deco Chicago Board of Trade from 1930. You know, at 605 feet, that was the tallest building in Chicago for 25 years. The sculptor never even gave the statue a face. A lot of people thought it was